3 years ago, I made the decision to join the gym. See, growing up, I was a very skinny kid. I wasn't blessed with the best genetics, really long arms, long muscle insertions, and I weighed about 70 kilograms. But this was purely due to the fact that I was 6 feet 2, so I was really tall. And the fact that I was really tall and skinny just made things, even more evident. This affected my confidence, the way I dressed. I wouldn't wear things like shorts, vests, other types of clothing because I was so unhappy with the way I looked. I wasn't proud of the way my body looked in clothes and stuff like that. This also made me insecure about going out in public, so I just pretty much stayed away from going out to public events with friends and spent most of my time outside school locked in my room playing video games. As you can tell, I was not happy. I was really not happy, and when I finished high school, I decided to start working out because I had stumbled upon a few guys on YouTube that looked absolutely jacked. They were living life, they were enjoying themselves, they had really good physiques, and I wanted to see if I could, probably be like them. But I had one problem. I was scared to go to a public gym because I was embarrassed. I was scared of being judged by friends, family, other people in the gym, and the thought of being the smallest guy in the gym was really daunting. Well, there's that, and also I couldn't afford to pay for a gym membership at that time. I had just come out of high school, didn't have a job, so money was not there to pay for a gym membership. But luckily, my dad had some old Olympic dumbbells at home and a bench, so I started going there every day. That's what I used for about 6 months before I even went to any public gym. So for the first month of lifting, I really did not know what I was doing in the gym. I was literally just doing bench press, push-ups, bicep curls, and literally anything I would see on the internet. These apps on the App Store and Google, which give you a 30-day workout program on those things. So that's what I was pretty much using for the first 6 months of me going to the gym. But the thing that I was most proud about at that time was the fact that I didn't stop going. I had built up a routine of going to the gym every single day. At one point, my parents told me, why don't you take a break? You can't be going to the gym from Monday to Sunday. But I didn't listen to them. I did not care. Waking up sore the next morning was such an addictive feeling. And even though I didn't quite know what I was doing at the time, I had done the most important thing, which was to actually get my ass in the gym and actually start working out. And when I got those first newbie gains, when I had that first bicep vein, when I started seeing my biceps pop up and stuff like that, I was hooked. There was no turning back at that point. I was locked in, and at that point I started doing my research on about fitness and actual bodybuilding, learning how to build muscle, how to train, what to train, the best exercises to do. I started learning about things like perfecting my form in the gym, learning about overall bodybuilding, supplementation, and I started seeing more and more gains as I kept on doing this. I remember when I went to a public gym for the first time. This was after about 6 months of lifting at home. I was not as scared as I thought I would be because at least I had an idea of what I was doing in there. I knew what I needed to do when I got to the gym. Getting used to new machines, gave me excitement and motivation because, I knew the gains were going to be even more than the ones I got when I was training at home. So I was motivated, also seeing, guys around me who are absolutely jacked, units, asking them for advice, learning new ways to train. I was having the time of my life, and it started to show on my physique. By far the hardest part for me in this lifting journey was the eating part. When I started lifting, I didn't realize how important, the eating and dieting part of it is. Especially if you're a skinny guy, almost 90% of your gains are going to come from the food you eat and not actually the work you do in the gym. I was seeing that I was getting more muscular, but I wasn't necessarily becoming bigger. I would still look small when I put on a shirt, when I put on sweatpants. That's when I started learning how to diet and how to eat high calorie meals, and actually started learning about bulking and all these things. So I was going to the gym and training, but I wasn't eating the right food to get me bigger. So when I started eating properly, and I did my first proper bulk, I think it was last year in January, I started doing my first proper bulk. I started getting bigger, filling out my shirts, and this was the best feeling ever. I imagine a shirt I was wearing 6 months ago is now probably too tight on me. It's a crazy feeling. I started building more and more confidence from this. The reason I don't have much footage of me training back then for this video is because basically I was embarrassed of the way I looked. I wasn't recording myself doing these workouts because I wasn't doing them properly, and I didn't feel like, I wanted to see that. Slightly embarrassed, and I wasn't confident in what I was doing at the time. Everything changed. I started taking more and more photos and videos of myself, not only working out but overall just appreciating the way I looked. I became more and more confident. I started going going out more, you know, socializing with people, you know, interacting with people, not just playing video games like I used to do when I was skinny, you know. I became more confident around a large group of people, which is a big change for me, especially when I was skinny. Fast forward to today, we're in 2025. I am not the biggest guy in the world, but compared to where I was 2 years ago, I can't complain. I've transformed my physique and it has changed my life, you know. I have had opportunities presented to me just purely based off my physique and the work I've put it in the gym. And it has also allowed me to do cool things like starting this YouTube channel where I share videos helping guys in a similar state that I was in to build muscle and transform their physiques, just like I did, which is why you should also consider subscribing to this channel. I hope that at least one person that watches this video makes a decision to get in the gym, not just to get jacked, not just to get girls, you know, clout or anything like that, but also just to feel confident in yourself and for overall, you know, health and well-being, you know.